Welcome to the Extraordinary Health Podcast. I'm Alli with your host, Dr. Bekkum, and today we also have Dr. Victoria joining us, and we will be talking about neuropathy and where they are now.
Today we're just going to kind of talk a little bit about, our neuropathy patients and, just how they're, improving with care. We're right in the middle of even collecting some stats, so we'll be publishing that shortly here so people can see even the numbers as far as, what percentage of the patients are getting 50% improvement or better. We just use that as a target because pharmaceutical industry uses 30% or better, so we thought we'd try and be a little bit better than that. And I would like to see people get at least a 50% reduction in their symptoms with our treatment. So just going over, some of the things that patients have been noticing going through their treatments, things that have helped benefit them. And some of it has to do with how we've even changed some of our treatment here. We've been utilizing a little bit more of our focused shockwave therapy with patients in addition to our high-intensity laser. And we're getting patients now stating that they've noticed a even more significant improvement with using focused shockwave, in that they're able to feel or sense, especially things that they're walking on, feeling the cold tiles in their bathroom, their carpet, in their bedrooms or living rooms, and all that sort of stuff. We're just continuing to add different things as I'm even getting the latest research that's coming out. Like one of the things that we've added more to help deal with neuropathy as well is our PEMF therapy. And we have a lot of patients now that have really, they've felt better. We haven't measured it here yet. That's what we're, like I say, in the middle of. We're going to have that published, I would say, by the end of the month here. But the PEMF therapy just helps to kind of calm down your nervous system in general. So it's really helping the patients that have autonomic neuropathy going on, because we're actually helping to stimulate even the brain and spinal cord with that. And we should even have, test results that will match up with that, and we'll just see what kind of improvements we're showing exactly. But typically, as patients go through care, usually that first exam that we do with them about a month into treatment, we can literally notice it tends to be kind of a little bit all over the place. We'll have certain things that are getting better, other things that they appear to be getting worse when we're looking at the testing there, just slightly. But as they go through care, that second month, what we're noticing is that they're getting a significant improvement with that autonomic neuropathy as well as the sensory motor neuropathy. So being able to feel things a little bit better, having a little better muscle control. I can even just see a lot of the patients when they first came in where they're even having a hard time walking or even getting up and out of a chair. It is now they're pretty much coming in, they're walking in, not that they're 100%, but they're definitely not having the kind of guarded, very wide stance walking that they had when they first came in, because they're starting to feel things a little bit better there. Also, the getting up and out of chairs is significantly improved with just about everybody I see, even within that first month of care. It just significantly changes as the months kind of go on here too. So I think we'll even be adding in some testing type procedures, just because our current testing equipment they just added some more testing to kind of measure things like get up and go from a chair. So it's going to measure how much time it takes for a person to go from a seated to a standing position repetitively. I think it's over 3 to 6 repetitions there. Plus, it's also going to look at how well they can get up and go, as far as then get up from a chair and then walk 6 feet. So we'll be able to measure that when people come in and see how well they can do that, as well as then see how well they start to perform over time as they go through treatment.
How many patients do we have about right now that are, say, like a month into their treatment?
Oh, I want to say we have about a month or more. I think we're looking at about 15 to 18 that are currently being treated.
let's say patient X, where were they on like the scale of neuropathy?
Basically, I had almost no sensation in the feet whatsoever when we're doing the physical exam. I mean, we test multiple different things. I want to say there's 8 different things that we're testing sensory motor. Actually, let me go back. It's 11 different things sensory motor. Typically, we're grading them from a scale of, a 10 being perfect. We're testing it against other areas of their body and testing it against their hands and their feet to see how affected they are, especially when they originally come in, and then as they progress through care where they're at. So this patient was pretty much at zeros on just about everything here in the feet. Couldn't feel cool sensation, couldn't feel pinpricks, couldn't feel a pinwheel, couldn't feel heat, couldn't feel cold, or even we use like a cold roller to just kind of test sensation in the lower leg. And even that was disturbed once we got down to about their ankle or just above their ankle there, where they had just no sensation of the cold whatsoever. So definitely significantly affected in their feet. But this person, right now, I can just say anecdotally, just watching them as they're going through treatment, again, just seeing them be able to walk into the clinic and walk through the clinic as they're getting treated, and how that's improving. They don't have that wide stance or gait when they're walking through the clinic here right now. And like I say, they'll get tested probably just this afternoon here, and maybe we can just take another little cut here by the end of the day or something like that, and we can let you know just how they've improved here from that first initial evaluation to today here. And people can have a better idea of what we're looking at as far as how you can improve with the treatment for neuropathy. So,
well, actually, I have one question just to bring up right away, since you said the word a few times, and maybe, unlike us who maybe know more about it, but the layperson, can you describe or pinpoint exactly when you say autonomic, when we're looking at autonomic neuropathy?
When we're looking at autonomic neuropathy, we're looking at how the nerves that are going to all your internal organs of your body are affected. And so it's not just they call sensory motor, or which is literally how well, like I say, how well a person's even walking here, or we can test individual muscles on a person to see if they're functioning correctly. And sensation, I mean, that's a portion of the exam that we do. The autonomic portion, we use a computerized test that tests different things. One thing is called a pseudomotor test, where it's even measuring how well the sweat glands are working, in a person's hands or feet. And it gives us an idea then of, are those nerves being affected by, typically, the highest percentage of people are going to be a diabetic neuropathy, although you could have, an idiopathic neuropathy, you could have a chemotherapy neuropathy. There's various, even different hormonal things that can actually end up causing neuropathy. And when we're seeing it being affected in both the hands and the feet, that's what that test is checking here. So there's multiple different things that can be causing a neuropathy. And if we're not capturing all that information to know exactly what we need to deal with, we might be missing, what really needs to be treated here. And I don't want to miss something, if at all possible here. And other things that could be affecting it too are like patients' medications. We have a list of medications here that people can look at. I should probably make sure that we maybe even get that, posted out onto the website and all that sort of stuff as well. But, even some of the medications that people are taking for neuropathy are actually causing neuropathy. So that's just mind-boggling a little bit there, but.
Exactly. Going back to, we talked about PEMF. Now I know previously you had a different system, an older system of PEMF versus new. So can you talk a little bit about what's new, what's different, and how this one helps differently?
Yeah, the current system that we have is a high-intensity PEMF. The previous one was a low-intensity one. A lot of people would say that they didn't even feel it. And you could maybe subtly notice it. I know I could notice it when it was on. I could tell it was on, but most people, they don't have the sensation to even feel it. So having the high intensity one, we can turn it up to sensory to the point where you feel it, which is stimulating, especially the blood cells, but it's actually putting a charge on all of your body's cells so that your body can heal properly. But we can also turn it up to motor to the point where your muscles are even contracting, you're kind of bouncing around a little bit to your tolerance, so it's not uncomfortable or anything like that, but it just feels kind of odd because your muscles are moving and you're not purposely moving them. So, and PEMF, or pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, was originally designed for a couple of different things. And one of them was for healing non-union fractures. And I've had a few patients that have had fractures that we've, watched with that, and typically they heal in about half the time. At least that's what I'm seeing with patients in the office as we're getting them treated. But the other main reason that they used PEMF therapy for was for patients that had diabetic ulcers that weren't healing. So we're putting a charge on the cells. It's helping with better blood flow, and that's just one of the therapies that we use with neuropathy here. So,
does that PEMF, do you have a specific protocol? Are there different protocols depending upon what the patient is going through or has?
There are different ones. Again, say somebody's got a chemotherapy neuropathy, we're going to probably run it more on a different frequency that actually kind of helps them detox or clear some of that stuff out of their system. We're probably also more going to look at some blood work on that patient to make sure that we can get them the proper nutrients to help clear that stuff out of their system. The good thing with chemotherapy neuropathy is that usually once we get it cleared out, the neuropathy is not going to come back. So typically when that person's done getting treated here and we see that they're better, unless you go through chemotherapy again or something like that, you really should be doing great and have no problems. It's the patients that have things like diabetic neuropathy that we need to kind of watch and make sure that you're keeping your blood sugars under control and all that sort of stuff. How bad was it when you first came in? How long do we need to continue doing some therapies and all that sort of stuff afterwards? So getting back to, there's just different frequencies then, and typically we'll even change that as a patient kind of tracks through care, and we'll even use the therapy in different places to help out with just clearing stuff out of your body's system, as well as then just putting that charge on your body so that it can kind of heal up.
Wonderful. So besides PEMF, you brought up the laser a couple times too. Now, what is the difference between, say, laser and PEMF?
Well, PEMF is using an electric charge. It basically would be the same as what the Earth would give off, probably hundreds of thousands of years ago. It's just not giving that off right now. If a person goes to a beach or something like that, you can literally ground yourself. You basically your bare feet in the sand there. That's a really good activity for people to do. But you probably, if you're living in the northern climate or something like that, you don't have exposure to beaches very often unless you fly on vacation or you snowbird there for the winter or something like that. So that's using that electronic charge or helping to balance that out in your body there. Whereas a laser it's high intensity, focused light. And, with our laser, our newest one that we have now, it goes up to 100 watts. And it literally, the nice part about it, especially for patients with neuropathy, our previous laser went up to 20 watts. Okay, so it's about a fifth the power there. But it would take an hour to really give a person the full treatment, to get their hands and their feet kind of covered with the therapy that we have. We also have different frequencies and different settings that we take people through, different protocols with the laser that help, get better blood flow to the tissues, that help the nerves to heal up and regrow, that help stimulate the cells. I mean, really, we're doing cellular therapy with people here when we're using some of these therapies because, the PEMF is putting a charge on the cell. The laser is actually shining a light on the cell, and it helps stimulate the mitochondria. In their resting state, they're going to produce like 2 ATP. But when we stimulate them, it bumps it up by 16 times. All of a sudden, now they're producing 32 ATP. So that helps your tissues heal up that much faster using the laser therapy there. So giving your body more energy to heal itself.
Body takes a lot of energy to do that too.
And there's other therapy. I mean, people can get laser therapies and stuff like that, but you're looking at, if you typically buy one, off of a online store or somewhere around, they're probably in the milliwatt range. You're probably looking at 150 milliwatts. You'd have to run the thing all day, every day, forever to get the same therapeutic dose that we can give, with our current laser. There's other providers that have lasers out there too, but again, a lot of those just peak out at a certain wattage, we'll just say, or to put joules is the amount of energy it's putting into your body, and then they back down significantly. So even those lasers, you're looking at an hour probably at a minimum, if not 2-3 hours that it would take to get the same amount of energy in that we're getting with our current K laser that goes up to 100 watts.
Are you using laser on patient X to help with his feet at all? Or what therapies are you using on patient X who had the little to no feeling in their feet?
Yeah, all of the patients are getting laser therapy. That is probably one of the core things that we're going to use because, like I say, it's helping to get better blood flow to the tissues down there in the feet especially. Some people, their hands, when it gets really bad, it starts to affect their hands too. But it's also helping to regrow that nerve tissue. Some people even feel when that nerve tissue starts to regrow, they think that they're getting worse. So that's a big caution that people have to understand. It's like, it's because you're actually getting the feeling back in your toes, in your hands. That's why it feels worse. So it's kind of like, think of it like this. If you fell asleep on a couch and you got your arm or your leg trapped in a weird way and your arm or leg fell asleep and all of a sudden it starts to wake up and it feels even more intense as it kind of comes back to life there, that's what happens with people, but it's kind of like in slow motion a little bit here. It takes some time for that to go away, but all of a sudden, oh my goodness, you have normal sensation back here. So
what would you suggest for someone when they're at home, when they get that feeling, as you said, like their nerves are growing back or whatever, that like they feel worse? What would you suggest for them to do at home to kind of like ease that pain a little bit or that feeling?
I mean, some people, you can use some of the topical analgesics, obviously. But it's, again, you have to realize that's just kind of a short-term thing. It's really not fixing anything. It's just helping to kind of ease you through that stage there. A person could use a TENS unit if it was really bothering them a lot, which is just a home electric stim type unit. A TENS unit's more just for that pain aspect of things. That could help out a little bit there, take some of that edge off. Then you usually get people going on some supplements that are going to help with a lot of this stuff. We test people to see if they have proper nitric oxide levels in their body. Nitric oxide is needed to help improve or to have proper blood flow out to things, like your hands and your feet, especially there. And, if you're having problems with blood flow getting out there, just getting that added into a, supplement regimen can be significantly helpful to people that are having neuropathy going on, but it helps with any kind of circulatory type issue. So
You mentioned shockwave therapy in coordination with the laser therapy before. So what is shockwave therapy to, say, the normal person that walks in? Like, what is that? What do we explain to them?
I think that's where a lot of people get confused. They hear shockwave therapy, and there's lots of providers that have shockwave therapy, but there's different kinds of shockwave therapy. And even in the different types, there's different types of applicators and different ways that it works as well. So one thing, I don't use it a lot on people here. It's called an RPW, a radial pressure wave. It is a more mechanical type of a thing. Occasionally we might use it on people, but that's really not what we use predominantly with the neuropathy patients. What we use, it's an electrohydraulic shockwave therapy. We use a focused shockwave therapy. But the big thing with people with neuropathy is a lot of times they can't feel it, but we need to make sure that we keep it toned down. We don't want to overstimulate them, because it can kind of get edgy, and then that's where people might feel a little bit of achiness or soreness if we get it turned up a little bit too high. So we slowly, gradually turn it up as we get people treated here. But there again, kind of like talking with the initial patient that we were talking about today, it's like since we've added the shockwave in there. Shockwave is very similar to PEMF therapy. It's using, electronics or, electric kind of a stim type of a situation there. But it actually helps to, again, just decrease pain and inflammation. And especially if these people have like arthritis going on in their feet as well, they can notice a significant reduction in pain. I mean, I've seen patients typically on their first treatment even, probably 80 to 90% reduction in their pain. Again, how long does that last? Depends on how chronic it is, how bad it is. We probably are going to need to use a series of treatment, and we end up applying it quite frequently with the patients that have neuropathy, just because it's also helping to stimulate those cells down there, especially stem cells, so it can help your body heal up. The laser therapy and PEMF work really great together because between the two of them, they're stimulating your body's stem cells to heal the tissue up down there. And I don't know of a combination that works better than the two together to do that.
Why is stem cell regrowth so important?
Well, it's not that the stem cells are regrowing, it's that we're stimulating the stem cells so that they help regrow the tissue, because your stem cells in that area are going to regrow the tissue that is in that area. I mean, some people are going for things like stem cell injections. Well, unfortunately, right now in the United States, the only thing that you can get are what are called undifferentiated stem cells. And if they were to go and have a stem cell injection, you might get a 5% effectiveness, you might get a 80% effectiveness. It could be all across the board here. It's probably way on the low end of the spectrum, because if you were to do something like with neuropathy, say they took stem cells out, and they can take it from anywhere. They could take it from, people think bone marrow. Yeah, they can take it from there. They can take it from your fat cells. So they do like a liposuction kind of procedure where they take that out, spin out the stem cells, and then they could inject those into the tissues there. But again, what percentage of effectiveness do they really have with that? And I'm not seeing that that's super effective there. But if we're just using, the physical medicine modalities of like focused shockwave and laser therapy to help just stimulate a person's own, they would be called endogenous, or the stem cells that are already in your body, to produce the normal cells that you should have there. So again, I haven't seen a lot of studies showing this, but that's like why we're seeing, such an excellent response rate with people with neuropathy, with arthritic type conditions, with the therapies. So, and I think that one of the big things is, at the time, I know or shortly after, I'm trying to think, Dr. Roundtree, we're part of the Laser Therapy Institute, and talking with Dr. Roundtree when he was in here, he said, yeah, we're probably one of like 28 people that even have this laser in the country. They just came out. There's probably more now, but at the time, like I talked with him, it was February. There was only 28 total units out in probably the whole United States. So it's not something you can get anywhere. It's like there's probably the closest place is maybe the Twin Cities. I don't know. I'd have to even look that up myself to see who has the newest, 100-watt K laser right now.
So can I ask why is that? Is that because the U.S. has such regulatory standards for things in that nature, or is it like Europe and Asia and other countries more intuitive with that now compared to us?
Well, yeah, it's been in use in Europe for a long time. K-laser does come from Italy, and they had some issues, and I don't need to go into the whole thing here. They had a distributor here who kind of went rogue on them or whatever. Now they finally got set up their own distributorship. They're now in like Miami Beach, Florida is their headquarters here, and now just started selling them here. Like I said, we probably got one of the first ones to even be sold in the United States. So
that's impressive. So anything else you can recommend besides what we have here at the office and supplementation and things in that nature? What else can patients do? Anything?
Well, I think the other thing that I start to look at with patients here is if they don't bring them in with them, is we'll get a hold of their latest lab results if they have any. If not, we can order some ourselves here, and that way we can really dial in and kind of custom tailor a nutrition program for the individual here. I mean, I try not to just like, oh, here's this supplement that has all this stuff in it that's going to help you with your neuropathy. Well, all the different neuropathies are different, and each person's affected differently here. So, we just look at it more from a functional medicine standpoint and take their lab work and go, okay, looks like you need certain B vitamins here, whatever it happens to be. Again, everybody's different, so we're going to take those labs and look at them as close as we can. If we need additional labs, we can, again, order, additional ones on top of that. But, I want to try and customize things as much as possible. We want to get the best results for people and get them as healthy as possible, as quick as possible. So by customizing things and getting some of these labs and even using the neurodiagnostic testing that we have in the office here to determine what's going on, we can better, get better results for people because we're dialing everything into exactly what they have going on. There's like the nitric oxide test. Some people would think with neuropathy might have issues there. They don't, and other patients, oh, yep, we better get you a supplement that'll help boost that in your system here. There's other, things that we can be looking at as well. I think probably the biggest thing I see with neuropathy patients, with the ANS testing or the autonomic nervous system testing, is that I think about 98% of them are all dehydrated, and they're losing, especially intracellular water. And if that's, so something that somebody might want to try, there's 98% of the people. So, it's probably going to help benefit you if you do have neuropathy going on. It's actually a bodybuilding supplement called creatine. And that'll help increase the intracellular water you have, which you need to have for your nerves to function properly, to have the proper blood flow and all that sort of stuff in your body. So trying some creatine there. You kind of have to dose it up in the beginning of it for the first couple of weeks there, just to get your body built up. But then you can kind of take it on a steady dose after that there to help keep that water content up in your body. Because so many of these people, they've been told to be on certain kinds of diets because of different things. Especially like low sodium. It's low sodium. It's not no sodium diets. And a lot of them just adding a little bit of electrolytes into their daily regimen can help out as well. Get that proper nerve conduction and even blood flow too, because now all of a sudden you're keeping a little bit more fluid in your system there. It's not a lot. It's like, even when I tell people it's about a quarter teaspoon of sea salt that they can use with water. They can sprinkle it on their food if they wish, but make sure you're getting that in so you at least have some kind of electrolytes in your body. Otherwise, you're just going to have a lot of other problems, especially being dehydrated, and that could be a lot of the symptoms in a lot of the patients. It's pretty, like I say, across the board at 98%. It's affecting everybody. So,
is creatine a supplement that is easy to find or get?
Creatine's pretty easy to get. Usually we use an online nutrition pharmacy in the office, so we'll send people, recommendations from there. They can either purchase it from there, but that's like I say, it's a bodybuilding supplement, so you can go into almost any kind of nutrition store and find it there. A lot of times people, if they want to find stuff locally, I'll send them to Natural Grocers locally or Swanson's Health Products in town here. They're not too far, a couple blocks from the office here, and they can usually find just about everything there.
Nice. So we've covered like patient X, and when they came in, they had the little to no feeling in their feet, really low like reaction to like heat, cool. You mentioned pinwheel testing, and like they're also receiving laser, shockwave, and PMF therapies with their treatment as well.
Yep, and like they had recommendations for creatine and nitric oxide supplement as well. And most people with the nitric oxide, if you're low in it, you're going to know you're low in it, and you're going to know literally probably in a couple of days, like, okay, yes, I already feel better by taking something that's going to boost that up. So,
like the treatment you gave patient X could be completely different to, say, patient Y, because we want to make sure like they're getting like basically complete customization of how they'll get treated.
mm-hmm.
And they also can know like as they're improving, their treatment could change as well, right?
Yeah, we're always adjusting therapies, because if we're seeing that you're not getting the response that we'd like you to see, then we're going to adjust your therapies, or maybe dig a little bit deeper into some of your nutrition there to make sure that you are getting excellent results. We don't want to have people walking out of here, and a research facility. We're a healthcare facility trying to help people get better here. So we're going to adjust things that need to be adjusted. So an example might be somebody who comes in and, maybe they do have some degeneration going on their back. We might have to add in like some spinal decompression or something like that to actually help deal with the nerves that are getting compressed in their spine, or even add on, some shockwave therapy to that area as well. And a lot of times that might be what's even factoring into the neuropathy as well. So
very custom and tailored specifically to what the patient needs. They're not going to be just, oh, this is our treatment. This is what we do. This is what we're going to offer you to make you feel
correct
at your full potential.
We don't have a cookbook that we use. I always consider myself more like a chef or somebody who can literally customize things. I'm not a baker who you have to follow things down to the ounce of what you're putting in something to get the same result. It's more like, hey, looks like we need a little dash of this, a little dash of that. Boom, there you go. We literally can customize things so that, again, you're getting the best results possible as quick as possible, and hopefully even long term. I mean, we've even added in for some of the patients that we know from the beginning. I mean, if you're on that moderate to severe or extreme end of the spectrum, you're even going to need some ongoing maintenance with this to just help keep it better for you once we get you there as well. So whatever's needed, we're going to let you know. You're going to know even at that first visit. We're going to outline what your treatment plan is going to be, how long it's probably going to take, and what it's going to cost. So ahead of time here. The only additional costs you might have are the supplements, because everybody's a bit different. And until we have all those lab results in, it's kind of hard to give you an idea of where that's at. But we do give people discounts right away when they purchase their supplements as well. So
you're saying if we don't have a beach and the ocean sitting in front of us, maybe we need to come here and take a gander and see what can be done.
Yep, if you don't quite have a beach, right outside your door.
We got some big puddles.
Even in the wintertime here, you could have a frozen beach. I don't know if that's going to help.
Maybe that's what we need next, like a sand pit when you walk in and out.
A little sand trail.
Get yourself grounded before you get moving.
We have some Mai Tais, and we're all going to be wearing Hawaiian shirts. No.
Well, that's just walking into a vacation then.
Yeah.
All right. So, and we do offer free consultations for anyone who suspects that they might have neuropathy. So that's something that first they can come in, they can talk to you, get some testing done right away, and just find out where they are before taking their next steps as well.
We want everybody to be informed before they decide to move forward. So
awesome. Well, thank you guys for listening. We will talk to you all next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.